What is the trigonometric form of a complex number? Well, typically we're used to seeing complex numbers in rectangular form, a plus bi. So if this point here is the complex number we want to represent, we say that this is a, this is bi, the vertical distance is bi, the horizontal distance is a, and then that gives us the coordinates of the complex number. However, in polar form, instead of looking at it as going in a rectangle, we look at it going as a rotation from the x-axis with a particular magnitude. So r represents the magnitude, and theta represents the angle of elevation. That is too big. R represents the angle of, or theta represents the angle of elevation. So this means rather than going right and up, we'll say, okay, the distance from the origin is r, and then we're going to rotate this many degrees from the positive x-axis in order to get to this polar coordinate. So the next thing to do is, well, how do we know that two numbers are the same in these different forms? Well, to convert from polar form to rectangular form, you're just going to simplify by distributing the magnitude and then simplify. To convert from rectangular form to polar form, you want to calculate the magnitude using Pythagorean theorem and calculate the angle of elevation using arctangent. Let's see. If we have this, first we want to, well, this is already in rectangular form, so we'll want to convert it to polar form. First we want to find the magnitude. So what is the magnitude of this? Well, it's written like this. We'll use Pythagorean theorem. So that's 1 plus 3 or 4. So the magnitude is 2. Now this is not, that's not the answer. That's just the magnitude. And now we want to figure out what the angle is, because we have minus I squared is 3. We know that this is down in quadrant 4. We have square root of 3, negative square root of 3, and 1. So we're doing arctangent of negative square root of 3 over 1. You could type this into a calculator, but I think you should be able to figure out what the arctangent of negative square root of 3 over 1 is. That was one of our special right triangles, which is going to be 300 degrees. So our answer is going to be 2 for our magnitude, and cosine of 300 degrees plus I times the sine of 300 degrees. So this is the polar form of that complex number. Now if we want to convert this to rectangular form, you can either simplify these numbers first or distribute first. Either one is fine. I think it's probably easier to find what cosine and sine of these numbers are first. If I gave you harder angles, then I'd give you a calculator as well. Sorry, 7 pi over 4 is in the fourth quadrant with a reference angle of pi over 4. So this is square root of 2 over 2. And that will be negative square root of 2 over 2. Now we can distribute in our square root of 21. And we get square root of 42 over 2 minus I square root of 42 over 2. And that's our rectangular form.